Something different for this week's video. I thought I would show you my gear I carry with me for a day's hiking typically. This can vary throughout the year depending on how cold it is and that sort of thing, but this is fairly average for what I carry for a day's walking on my own with friends or leading a walking group. Now we're allowed to do these things. The pack I'm using is the Lowe Alpine Aeon 35. I bought this one just over 2 years ago, and I feel like I had it for more than that time because I got so used to it. It's just so comfortable to use. It's a fairly lightweight, minimalist backpack. And before this I had the Lowe Alpine Aeon Trek Plus 35 to 45, a slightly larger capacity pack. It also weighs 500 grams more than the new one. I should really try and sell this one somewhat because I don't really have a place for using it right now. I've got the 35 litre here. I've also got a 50 litre I use for backpacking, so this one kind of sits in the middle now. It's not really getting used. So if you want to buy it yourself, maybe leave a comment below and let me know. If we start by looking on the outside first of all and then work our way inwards, you've got this mesh pocket on the front. It's got a zip down the side, and inside here I tend to keep the rain cover, which is optional. That cost me I think an extra £8. That just goes on there when I need it. I've also got some waterproof gloves here. These are the mounted equipment mittens. They're only 40 quid for the pair, really good value, really waterproof. And that's pretty much all I keep in there really. Occasionally I might use waterproof trousers. These are the Berkhouse, I think it's the Fast Hike. They're probably 3 years old now. Again, lightweight, really reliable in my experience. Never had to reproof them. They've got a few holes down the bottom here where I've worn through them, but again, it's a lightweight product. That happens with these things. So they might live in that zip pocket. On the side here, I've got two of these mesh pockets, one each side. And here I've got my map, always very important. This one is the Meetup Hills map, of course, my local area. Also got a cheap multi-mat sit mat. It's called the Comfort Cushy or something. There we go, compact, comfy. That's close. On this side I've got a water bottle. Well, this one is quite small. It's made by Sig. It gives me 2 years ago. I think the capacity is about 600 ml, which is not a huge amount, but it's big enough for, I think it's big enough for most walks this time of year. In the summertime I might carry a water bladder with more capacity in it, but for sort of spring, autumn, winter, less is more, or enough for me. And on the back of here, speaking of the hydration bladder, you've got this external pocket where the bladder would go into. That's actually a really great idea, and I wish more backpacks had this. But in here now I currently keep, well, I normally keep my sit mat actually, because then it gives me like a frame to sit against my back. This is quite a flexible frameless pack otherwise. I get no issues with lack of ventilation from the back panel, so that's a really good thing. And overall it's pretty comfortable. And I'll just show you quickly the hip belt pockets, something I always look for in a backpack. In the left pocket I've got my all-important hand sanitizer, and I've also got, also important, my compass. This one's made by Silver, it's about 20 quid in Cotswold Outdoor. Very reliable. And in this pocket, which you can see has got some repair tape on it. That's the downside of lightweight gear that no one talks about. It won't last forever. This is my photo camera, you could call it. My previous vlogging camera as well, this is. It's the Olympus Tough TG4. I bought it for being waterproof because that's something I really value at the minute, because I was destroying my previous cameras with all year round walking and photography. And on this strap here I also keep something called a Doohickey. It's basically a multi-tool type device with a little carabiner on the end. There's a flat blade here for acting like a screwdriver. There's a bottle opener just there, and if you really need it, a little measuring scale to measure things, I guess. And you've got this top lid with this single clip here to release it. That folds back and gives access to the main compartment. On the outside of this is a zip pocket, access from the rear, and on here I've got a little tag I bought that says keep calm and eat bananas. Simple reason being I keep my bananas in here, a banana, not us, during a day walk. And also in here I've got my buff, I've got at least one pair of gloves, maybe two with a liner, And I've got a woolly hat, thanks to Mads again for this hat. That normally lives in here unless I'm wearing it. I've also got some, for this time of year, sun cream. A little bottle from Aldi, good value there. And I've also got an option of 2 phone cases. This one is an aqua pack, very, very waterproof. I think it was £12, £15 maybe, great value for money. And this is a little plastic hard case for dry conditions. Put my phone in there. And if we flip that over, we've got the usual safety information here about how to signal, search and rescue, and that sort of thing. There's also a zip pocket here with a clip for your keys, very important. And all I've got in here today is a little notebook and my ICE card with my name and contact details on it, my address. Now, to access the main compartment, you've got 2 options. The obvious one is this drawer cord on top. There's also one that I never use, a little zip compartment down here somewhere under this flap. Yeah, I never use that, but it's probably useful for some people. So inside of here, on the outside, I've got this little torch clipped onto this little piece of webbing. This is it's made by a company called Lumo, sorry. It's the Lumo Nebo. I bought it for £4 or £5 in Go Outdoors. The idea being that when you're trying to find something inside your rucksack, and it's dark, you can just turn this on, have a look inside, and you've got good visibility then. I've been there, it's getting dark towards the end of your walk, you're trying to find your head torch and you just can't see what's inside your pack. And on top of here we've got my layers to start with. So this is my waterproof jacket. It's one I bought last year. It's the Montaigne Atomic. It was about 90 quid, brand new, quite lightweight. One of the lightest I've seen for this kind of price bracket. And yeah, so far it's been good. I've also got a mountain equipment Rupal jacket that costs £200. I use that more in the winter time because it's quite thick and heavy and it's a bit warm for this time of year. And with that, I've also recently acquired this fleece for my birthday. It's made by Craghoppers. It's made from recycled plastic apparently. And yeah, this is not too heavy, not too light. I've worn it quite a bit recently. I don't sweat too much wearing this, which is quite nice. I'm not generally a fleece fan because I do tend to get too warm, but this is working well for me so far. So that's good with me so far. I might ditch it towards summertime when it gets a bit too warm for that. And I've also got another insulation layer because it is April. This is a Craghoppers compressed light gilet or vest. You can either wear it this way around with zip pockets either side, or you can wear it inside out with non-zip pockets here and here. But I do like this a lot. I wear it normally through the winter as well. Now I've got a little metal box here made by Sig. Not very cheap this one, but I keep my food in here. So it will normally have sandwiches and that sort of thing. Breakfast bars, oat bars, flapjacks. Very effective. I think I paid £19 for it, including postage, which is a bit high, I must admit, but it's worth it, I think. The kind of thing you buy once and then never need to buy it again. Then I've also got a £7 flask from a local hardware shop. I recently bought this folding cup. This one is made by, who's this made by? Wildo in Sweden. Yeah, the idea being that I find these cups here can be quite unstable on the ground. They can easily fall over. Also a bit small for me as well. I'd rather have something a bit larger for a real cup of tea, a good portion. But that's also essential. Towards the back here I carry a spare sit mat. Not so much for myself, but for people on my walks who may not have a sit mat, because believe me, that is quite common. Someone turns up, everyone sits down for lunch and there's always one who goes, oh, what do I sit on? I've got nothing with me. And I've got a selection of dry bags in here. This one I forget, I think it's my first aid kit. I should really know which way my first aid kit's in. Yeah, that was bought from Lidl last year to upgrade from my old one. You can't really see it in there. I've got some tenacious tape as well for emergencies. Also got some stuff like zinc oxide tape in this pack here. Yeah, generally useful stuff I never really use or need to use very much. The next dry bag is again mainly for group events and activities. I've got spare gloves, a spare buff, a spare hat, I might even have spare socks in here. I've also got a microfiber towel and some hand warmers as well. This is in the event that someone turns up for a walk unprepared, or somebody gets wet gloves and wet hands and they need to kind of dry off and stave off hypothermia, that sort of thing. I might also carry it myself on a longer day walk in the winter, but it's just a precaution really. All depends on where I'm going and what I'm doing, who I'm going with, that sort of thing. Another little dry bag here. This one has a little bag with my camera spares in it. So I got my spare batteries, spare SD cards. I've got a little power bank in here, but I've got no leads for it, ironically. So that's kind of useful. And I've also got a partial roll of Gorilla Tape. This is really good, it's really strong duct tape. It's quite water resistant, weather resistant, that sort of thing. Good for emergency repairs. This bag currently has my wallet, a long forgotten piece of life really because of the pandemic. Everything now I pay for by card, contactless, put it on, that's it, job done. I rarely handle money these days or cash if I can help it, but I carry it just in case. And the one final item in this bag is this orange blanket, one of these cheap emergency bivvy bag type things. In the event again that someone, even myself, becomes injured on the hill and needs to kind of seek emergency shelter to keep warm and stay off the weather, that sort of thing. If I'm staying sort of low, let's say below 400 meters elevation, I'll carry this with me. If I'm going much higher than that into the mountains and that sort of thing, I might carry a proper survival shelter. This one has a 2-person capacity, allegedly. I tried it out myself and I struggled to get in there myself with a rucksack, so I think really it's a 1-person, a bit like the whole 2-man tent thing, it's 1 person plus their gear. And of course, with COVID right now, I thought about buying a larger shelter for group walks, but are we allowed to huddle inside a group shelter right now? I don't know. What do we do? Just abandon hope and save 1 person and let the rest die? I don't know. I might also carry this yellow bag here. This has my head torch in it and some spare batteries. Maybe some spare batteries for my camera as well, because I've got 2 cameras. And that's pretty much what goes in on a regular basis. One other optional item might be this little Manfrotto tripod. I use that for filming and doing photography, shots of myself. Not so much on group walks and that sort of thing, but this is really handy to have. It's not very large or heavy. I know some will tell me that I'm carrying too much. I don't need this, I don't need that, but I'm carrying what works for me. I'm packing what works for me as well. So I'm not saying you have to do any of this stuff or buy any of it or anything, but it's just worth thinking about sometimes. So I'm going to show you just briefly that this pack fits me fairly well, although it's not perfect. It has a medium to long back length. They only do this size in the extra large one, unfortunately. I think ideally I could do with a shorter back length. You can adjust it, but I've gone to the limits of the shortest one so far. And as you can see, the sternum strap here at its highest point is still, it's probably 4 or 5 fingers below my collarbone. Ideally, people say it should be about 2 fingers beneath your collarbone. I'm not too sure if it really matters that much. I don't get any great pain wearing this one. It fits quite well. I think it looks fine. I find it nice and lightweight, that sort of thing. It's got everything I need from a backpack really for day hiking. I do also carry walking poles sometimes, and they can clip on to either of these little pull-out straps here. I do find that my poles, which is Lecky Sherpa XL, quite a heavyweight, large pole, the points don't fit into these little grips that you come with this pack. They fit the Air Zone pack fine, but this one is just a bit too small. Not a huge concern, I can just lash them through these straps here and it holds them in place fine. I'm also going to weigh it for you quickly to give you an idea of the base weight without food or water. Everyone loves that, don't they? Okay, that's lower than I thought it was going to be. That's coming at 5.7 kilograms. I think it's normally around about 7 when I'm going for a day walk with food and water in there, so that's about right. And again, it's not ultralight, but it works for me. So thanks for watching the video. Hope you found it useful, and keep out there and enjoy your hiking. I'll see you again soon.